I got it. So, yeah. You got it.
Don't make me go down there, because I talked to you about this.
Can we please have a professional meeting for once?
Okay.
You sent it to everybody.
Can I have a motion, please, to have a professional meeting? You could stay. I think you could stay.
I wanted to,
Yeah.
Then he should stay.
Yes.
To verbalize.
Yeah.
Have we not confirmed that that's locked?
We know that red door's locked. Sure, you want to get this meeting started?
Can we start, please?
Wait, I'm sorry, I'm just doing something with the document.
Is that his first name, Bob Knies?
Did I, what?
What?
Stop.
I'm punch drunk. I've been out of the house. I don't know. I got out of the house, 7? An hour later than I had to.
Dude, I've been setting up on my thing. I'm getting up at first time. Every day I wake up and I go.
Okay, Greenwich Township Committee, November 20th. Members present, Bailey's.
Yes.
Liliani.
Yes.
Adams.
Yes.
Flori.
Yes.
Toriello.
Present.
Adequate notice of this meeting was given in accordance with the Open Public Meeting Act by mailing the schedule of the Township Committee to the Express Times and North Star Ledger newspaper, posting a copy on the Township Bulletin Board, and filing a copy with the Township Clerk. Motion for executive? Joe?
Can I have a motion to go into executive session? And before you do that, did you state that you also posted a copy of the agenda and notice on the Township webpage?
Yes, it's been posted on
Okay,
the Township
all right.
website, and it's out on my bulletin.
Okay, great. A motion to go into executive session?
Make a motion.
Second. All those in favor?
To cover what?
Aye. Oh, motion to go, thank you.
Thank you.
I'll just watch
A
it.
motion to go into executive session to discuss litigation with the Warren County Prosecutor's Office, personnel matters regarding acting court administrator investigation status report, and DPW seasonal employee, to discuss open space plan and potential purchase, and also to discuss shared service court analysis, and to discuss potential RFQ issuance.
I'll make that motion, again,
I'm sorry, Elaine made the motion, and Tom
I'll
seconded.
second.
So we have this,
as amended.
Well, it's just included.
Okay.
Bailey's,
Yes.
Liliani.
Yes.
Adams.
Yes.
Flori.
Yes.
Toriello.
Yes. I was going to say no.
I don't know where to start.
Just pay attention to the motions in case if I don't say it right.
You're talking to Frank, right? Because
I was talking to Jim.
we just go yes.
Oh, did you think I was taking notes?
Oh my God.
I didn't take notes either this time.
Mr. Finelli, how are
Good to see
you?
you.
Sorry we're late, guys.
What's
It
up,
was
Coach?
wonderful, it really was.
How was
I'll
yours?
tell you about it.
How was yours?
November.
My trip, not nearly as eventful as his, I'm sure.
Did you ride an elephant? Or a camel?
Went with that.
That's an easy question.
Now he's talking about AC.
I'm talking about this. Talking about AC. Okay. Sorry, Mr. Porter.
No, well, I got the message. Yes, too bad.
My legs? Yes, let's do
Actually,
it.
is my back, my
Motion
leg?
out of executive session.
Make the motion.
I will second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Call the regular meeting of the Greenwich Township Committee to order. Members present, Bailey's.
Yes.
Liliani.
Yes.
Adams.
Yes.
Flori.
Yes.
Toriello.
Yes.
All rise for the flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, first, can I have a motion authorizing Township Attorney to contact the Warren County Prosecutor regarding ongoing litigation and to convey terms consistent as discussed in executive session?
Make the motion.
Second.
Counsel for Warren County Prosecutor's Office.
Yes.
Thank you, right. Can I have a motion to make it as amended?
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Comment, roll call.
Bailey?
Yes.
Miliani?
Yes.
Laurie?
Yes.
Adams?
Yes.
Yes. Can I have a motion authorizing the township clerk to prepare RFQs for both professionals and vendors consistent with the terms discussed in executive session?
Make the motion.
Second.
Comment, roll call.
Bailey?
Yes.
Miliani?
Yes.
Adams?
Yes.
Laurie?
Yes.
Freeland?
Yes. Can I have a motion to extend an offer to hire DPW seasonal employee Michael Mexi?
Make the motion.
Second.
Comment, roll call.
Bailey?
Yes.
Miliani?
Yes.
Adams?
Yes.
Laurie?
Yes.
Freeland?
And
Yes.
this is on a need basis?
It's determined by the
Snowfall.
DPW foreman.
Okay.
Can I have a motion authorizing Bob Canase to proceed with discussions regarding land acquisition consistent with the terms discussed in executive session?
Make the motion.
Second.
Comment, roll call.
Bailey?
Yes.
Miliani?
Yes.
Adams?
Yes.
Laurie?
Yes.
Freeland?
Yes.
Talk about this.
And also, motion, I probably should have made this part of it, to authorize Bob Canase to prepare a letter to the county regarding open space plans to be signed by the mayor consistent with the terms discussed in executive
I'll
session.
make the motion.
Second.
Comment, roll call.
Bailey?
Yes.
Miliani?
Yes.
Adams?
Yes.
Laurie?
Yes.
Freeland?
Yes. And can I have a motion authorizing township attorney to retain the services of special investigator regarding tort claims notice, consistent with the terms discussed in executive session?
Motion.
Second.
Comment, roll call.
Bailey?
Yes.
Miliani?
Yes.
Adams?
Yes.
Laurie?
Yes.
Freeland?
Yes. And finally, can I have a motion authorizing township attorney to hire, to the extent necessary, a hearing officer, and to proceed in accordance with the terms discussed in executive session regarding court and administrator investigation matter?
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Comment, roll call.
Bailey?
Yes.
Miliani?
Yes.
Adams?
Yes.
Laurie?
Yes.
Freeland?
Yes. Did I cover everything?
One other.
Okay, and, right, and also can have a motion authorizing township attorney to procure a independent hearing officer to the extent necessary regarding Chief Hummer, consistent with the terms discussed in executive session.
Make the motion.
I will second.
Comment. Roll call.
Bailey?
Yes.
Miliani?
Yes.
Adams?
Yes.
Laurie?
Yes.
Freeland?
Yes. I think that covers...
One more, Joe.
Yeah.
The shared.
Oh, thank you, thank you. Can I have a motion authorizing me as mayor to proceed to finalize shared court services with Powhatan Township consistent with the terms discussed in executive session?
Make the motion.
Second.
Comment, roll call.
Bailey?
Yes.
Miliani?
Yes.
Adams?
Yes.
Laurie?
Yes.
Freeland?
Yes. Did we cover that? We covered everything now, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Can I have a motion authorizing the payment of bills in the amount of $889,157.61?
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Comment.
I haven't had a chance to read it.
Roll call.
Bailey?
Yes.
Miliani,
Abstain.
Lori,
Yes.
Adams.
Yes.
Freeland.
Yes. I didn't even get a chance to see hold on a second, do we have reports? I didn't see them in here. I want to see before you can call for a motion to, I don't see any reports for police and,
I don't have police and reports.
This is the
Where's
first one we
Ford?
had. We had it as the first one for the month.
Something like that.
Didn't we have the police ones at the beginning of the month, Ian?
We didn't,
Right, we've already done that for the month.
I don't see it.
Just skip this one and
yeah,
Yep.
I'm tabling.
yeah.
Can I have a motion to adopt resolution 2014-61, a resolution authorizing the transfer of current fund appropriations? Or do you need to speak on that first? Okay. Anything as it's written, right? There's no amendments to it? Okay.
Yeah.
Um,
Bob, I had asked for comment on that, on the transfer resolutions.
My problem when it comes to the transfer resolutions is that I'm not privy to the current financial budget status reports. The problem that Lorraine has is that she's seeing bills because of problems we've discussed in the past with the inefficiencies in your encumbrance accounting system. Is she's seeing bills coming in for payment after goods have been delivered, services have rendered. She's got no choice to pay them. So she's got a knee-jerk reaction to make transfers to get money in the line item so that you can pay the bill list. Right? I'm sure that one of the things she does is she makes sure her transfers are sufficient so that you will not end up in overexpended status by approving those bill lists.
There's actually nothing transferred tonight that needed to be transferred to cover the bill list. Everything on the bill list has provided funds. I looked at what we were going to need from now through the end of the year, and the transfers are covered.
So then the worst case scenario is we might find ourselves to have excesses in different line items than they are right now.
And you've got flexibility on your transfers. You through the end of the year and into the first 3 months of next year when you're in the reserve period, so that you can keep bouncing money back
You
and
can
forth.
move them.
Okay, this is not a one and done.
Yeah, you have the flexibility of
Okay.
of
You've
changes.
got from November 1st till the end of March, you're allowed to make transfers in the 2014 budget to keep out of overspended status.
Okay.
So last meeting we had on November 6th, we discussed something about sewer. There's no money that's being used from sewer accounts for the general
That
fund,
was different than the transfers.
for no payroll, no nothing,
There
right?
were monies that were allocated as part of the budget process.
Correct.
And
That was
I
different.
I sent an email to Lorraine on that.
Okay.
So
All right.
that's not a question of transfers, that's a question of reallocating some paid charges.
Correct.
Or prospectively, she could move the next, she could bang the next payroll into sewer to cover it.
All right, so I know that email, or that refresh of the email just recently came out. Have you had an opportunity to put that into the system, those budget changes?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, they're not actually changes
The-
to the budget, it's how payroll is to be paid. I wasn't sure how much from each of the departments was allocated into sewer. And,
For the work that they
allocated
do for that particular, for
Correct.
utility. It's not
Yeah.
that their payroll is coming out of sewer for the fact that we have no money in the general fund. It's more for the
It's-
allocations that we
That
had.
was
Yeah.
the plan.
We
Correct.
did that on purpose. We purposely allocated those
Correct.
funds according to
I just
acceptable
want to
values.
make sure that I paid it correctly, that
Okay.
I didn't pay more or less than I should have.
Are there any other questions or comments on Resolution 2014-61?
No, I'm good.
Okay, so with that, I'm going to recall for or re-ask for an adoption of Resolution 2014-61, a resolution authorizing the transfer of current fund appropriations
Make the motion.
in the amount
In
of
the amount.
$77,600.
Make the motion.
I'll second.
Comment, roll call.
Bailey?
Yes.
Miliani?
Yes.
Adams?
Yes.
Lori?
Yes.
Freeland.
Yes. Can I have a motion to adopt Resolution 2014-62, which is a resolution authorizing the transfer of sewer fund appropriations in the amount of $22,000?
Make the motion.
I'll second.
Comment.
Now, Lorraine, is that through the end of the year?
It should be.
it's not right to the number what we have right now, because I'm sure that Brent hasn't, sent in any of his
Yeah,
most recent
that was
bills.
moving as much as we have available.
Okay.
In other ones, which I'm hoping we'll get through the end. If
Mhm.
not, I might have to transfer them.
Okay.
Any other comments? Roll call.
Bailey's?
Yes.
Miliani?
Yes.
Adams?
Yes.
Laurie?
Yes.
Miller?
Yes. And I know Elaine made the motion. Anybody, do we have a first and second, by the way, for the record?
Elaine made the motion, and Jim Adams.
Oh, Jim second, I didn't hear that. All right.
I'll announce it.
Okay, that is,
Lien redemption.
yes. I have a motion to adopt Resolution 2014-63, a resolution authorizing redemption of tax lien on Block 23.11, Lot 3, in the amount of $1,000.
Make the motion.
I'll make the motion.
Elaine made the motion.
I will second it.
Comment, roll call.
Bailey's?
Yes.
Miliani?
Yes.
Adams?
Yes.
Laurie?
Yes.
Miller?
Yes. Can I have a motion to open up the meeting for the first public comment regarding agenda items only?
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Comment, all those in favor?
Aye.
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 Anyone wishing to make public comment regarding agenda items, please come up to the podium, state your name and address. Seeing no hands, can I have a motion to close the first public comment?
Make the motion.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, with the first of, and I have two walk-ons on my agenda. First, I'm going to start with a walk-on. We had a resignation of a land use board member, Elio Carvalho, so I'd like to accept his resignation with regret and thank him for his service to the township. And with that vacancy, pursuant to the statute, it is a mayoral appointment. I have conferred with the land use board chair and other members of, township committee regarding this, and the seat will be filled by Frank Marquetta. So tonight I'm going to be making the appointment of Frank Marquetta to fill that unexpired term. So he will start the second of the 4-year term. And I will notify Frank of his appointment. Motion to accept Elio's resignation with regrets.
Make the motion.
Second.
Comment, roll call.
Bailey's?
Yes.
Miliani?
Yes.
Adams?
Yes.
Laurie?
Yes.
Miller?
Yes. And, over the last, I'm going to say over the last 3 months, at least, if not more, I'm going to speak for myself, but I'm sure other members of the Township Committee will agree that we've had many, many residents contacting us as elected officials, and again, I'll speak for myself, certainly contacting me, both in person, by email, phone call, regarding concerns over the school board election, and the fact that we are the lone standing municipality in all of Warren County that conducts an April school board election, and one of a scant few throughout the state of New Jersey that continues to conduct a school board election in April. And there's been significant interest of our constituents to see that the election be moved to November. As part of due diligence in terms of addressing those raised concerns, inquiry was made to the Warren County Election Board, and as an added issue, in us conducting an election in April, it costs the Greenwich Township taxpayers anywhere between $12,000 to $14,000 just to have that special election. So in addition to really addressing the requests of our residents to have one election for all matters, there is the added benefit to the taxpayer of those additional savings. So I've asked for a resolution to be prepared, And the way that the school board election would be moved would simply be by an adoption of a resolution. And once the resolution is adopted, the school board election would be moved. I think it's in fairness to the school board, it's something we should consider sooner rather than later. I think under New Jersey law, we would not have to take action until next February. But I think in fairness to the school board, if we undertake this action and we decide to do it, doing it sooner will give the school board as much time as necessary to make additional plans for interim budgets. And I have spoken with our auditor regarding those issues and have assurances that there's a, process in place where they can go ahead and do what's necessary. There will be some additional, and if you've had a chance to look at the resolution, because of the shifting, there would be certain positions on the Board of Education that would normally expire at a certain time. They would automatically be extended until the following November, so we would have the consequence of adding additional months to those members' representations, but that's how the statute is crafted in order to facilitate the transfer. So, I'm calling for the adoption of Resolution 2014-64, which is establishing the election of members of the Greenwich Township Board of Education as the first Tuesday after the first Monday in November. And I can either read into the record the entire resolution, or I don't know that that's necessary. I think we can treat it like every other resolution. Does anybody have any comments on this?
Yeah, I have a question. How does this affect the budget,
Whose budget?
the school budget?
They would have to develop an interim budget. Is that if that's what you mean? Or-
Yeah, in other words, would the
Yeah.
budget be voted on during November?
Yes.
Yeah.
As long as the budget stays within the 2% cap budget guidelines, there is no vote on the base budget.
Right.
It would only be second questions.
So if it went over, then,
If the district wants to spend above the maximum commissioner budget, it would be a second question.
Right.
so then they would do it in normal
Yes.
fashion, so they do it now.
Right, exactly.
Exactly.
That's right. So we would-
Only on the budget.
Right. Only on the second
Only
questions.
Only on
Only on the second question.
Right. Correct. Any other questions?
Yeah, I had a question, Bob.
Yeah.
The base amount, the base budget amount that we're talking about, I've been asked in terms of what happens. Can you easily explain that in terms of the additional 670 and 1.2 million that were?
When it's, and this is, I've never been involved personally in developing this, but my understanding of the rules are that when you put forward the paperwork for a second question, part of the paperwork says, is this a one-time occurrence or is it an ongoing cost? And if it's an ongoing cost, if it is approved by the voters, it gets added to the base budget. So if prior second questions were ongoing costs, they will be part of the base budget that would have a 2% cap limit on it going forward.
Do you know what they were?
I have not seen the paperwork on the prior question, but considering what the commentary as to the cause was, I would assume that they were ongoing costs and they are now part of the base budget.
Okay. That's big.
But it'll be ultimately resolved by how the paperwork is submitted.
Yeah, right.
So, because
We don't know.
The state produces school budget documents in computerized form, and they download information from the prior budgets into it to calculate the base. So if it was approved as an addition to the base, it would be in their base when they get their budget documents.
And if it was just a straight question, it
If it
wouldn't
was
be.
just a one-time deal, it would be.
Right.
Any other questions? Comments? Okay, with that, I'll make the motion to adopt 2014-64.
I'll second.
Elaine seconded. Comment? Roll call.
Bailey?
Yes.
Miliani?
Yes.
Adams?
Yes.
Laurie?
Yes.
Freeland?
Yes. And finally, I've asked John Howell, our DPW foreman, to come because at the last meeting, we had discussions regarding snow preparedness, salt purchasing, what additional steps needed to be taken regarding making sure that we're prepared for the winter. We've had other questions regarding street remediation. There were some questions about why certain streets were capped and others weren't, and I just thought that if we have John here, you guys can ask whatever questions necessary, regarding that. Additionally, we had some discussions, and I'm going to just speak, John, for myself. I would like to just have, at least use this as an educational process for us to better understand how the resources are deployed in a snowstorm in terms of, how things are done. And then also, when we're talking about summer months, cutting grass, we've had discussions about it. I'd like to get a better understanding of how many acres are involved, how that is staffed in terms of, is there a particular schedule and a rotation of, what gets cut, how many, if you can estimate how many hours a month are, dedicated just for lawn maintenance, to start. So we could start in any particular order that you're comfortable with. In terms of, if you want to come up, maybe, yeah, so that we can get you on the record. Not that we can't hear you back there, but...
Snow plowing is basically broken up in 9 routes. If all trucks keep running, we all know the roads, what roads to do first, so you don't cut yourself off, and then drive in circles. And then basically, when we do have a storm coming, either the county will call me, or I'll be pacing around in the middle of the night and wake up and see it. And then I call my salt guy, which is me and 4 others. We go out and salt, and determine on the storm, if it's going to be a plowable storm. I call in my butter plow guys, which are part-timers.
Yeah, I'm sorry, when you say 9 routes, does that mean, does one person take each route, or that's not correct? So it's
basically 6 main routes, and the other 3 are pretty much filling cul-de-sacs and stuff like that, but it's all mapped out, nobody drives in circles, until you get breaking. If you break down, well, then you got to go back to the 6 routes, and then maybe, because that happens almost every time. Then, like I said, we'll bring in my plow guys, if it's going to be a plowable storm. We make sure all the plows are attached, everything's ready, salt trucks are reloaded, and we sit there and wait for it to be plowed.
How many trucks are Greenwich Township owned, and how many are owned by the independent contractors that we
have no
retain?
independent contractors, all owned by Greenwich.
Every
Every truck, every piece of
okay, it's all Greenwich owned.
it. And then when we get a plowable snow on the ground, which is 3-4 inches,
3-4 inches,
everybody heads the roots and plow it off to it, and if it continues to snow, you keep it that pace. And I know that there was a question about, getting enough sleep and all that. Basically, when, you take your snowplow safety courses, they encourage sleep. Like, when we get there, everything's set and ready, I tell everybody, wait in. So I tell you to go. And vice versa, we get done plowing off, it's still snow, but it's not like rapidly snow, lay back in. Still storms out. Now, nor'easter, you might be in the, you normally get like a 6 to 8 hour blowout period, you might be in the truck that.
You keep logs on that, Joe? You keep
What's
logs?
that?
Do you keep logs on every guy and of what they're doing, how long they're off and on? Do you have to? Is there anything that mandates that you have?
We don't do it for long.
How long does it take to do the 9 routes, or the
Well, if
6
everything
main?
stays together, we get done in 3.5 one time around.
3.5, 9 routes.
Right. It used to be
3.5
5
hours.
until we gained 2 trucks.
Three.
It used to be 5
5.
a little while back until we gained the recycling truck.
Okay.
But that's basically...
And that's with how many trucks?
That's 9.
9.
No, it's 9 routes with
9 routes.
5 trucks.
5 trucks.
What's that?
9 routes with 5
trucks.
trucks.
Now, we got 9 trucks.
9 trucks.
No,
That's
oh,
right.
9 routes, 9 trucks. I'm sorry.
And then once we get that, then I'll send somebody out to the bike path, get that done, sidewalk done, that, now here's done. And then hopefully go home.
John, one of the things that has come up this year, and I think this is a good time to discuss it, is over in what is the section called where
The Condo Association for Greenwich Chase.
yeah, where off of
Revere.
Revere Road, where there is no sidewalks.
The president-
I mean, but there's no like curbing.
There's no parking.
It's all driveways. And, you know, we've had a couple inordinate rough years in terms of high volume snow. But we did have occasion this year to meet with the association representatives who really implored us to work with the DPW department to get trucks over there to fill the trucks up, because and I recognize, I mean, I think we all recognize that as the snow's coming down, your first order of business is to plow the streets. You know that you can't get the trucks out there, but
Like a lot of people say, well, why do you pile it on the corners? Well, if I try taking it down the road here, taking the road here,
you never get the roads plowed.
Right.
then you stop, you pick up, and you go boom, on to the next.
I don't think that that's what they were talking
Yeah.
about. They were talking about a day or two later, when you had your
Right,
sleep,
We
that
did
somebody
that
could
last
come
year,
back
so
and
that'd be
remove
fun.
the snow and put it in an open field. Because what's happening is those folks are sliding out almost onto Dumont Road, and they've got the big snow on the ends of on the ends of the streets, and that's where their biggest concern, and most of them are
Well, then you're
seniors.
back to, like, a couple days later, now you're back to a workforce that's doing 3, 4 jobs.
Well, then
Those
you would
guys
call
that-
in,
those
well, then why
guys
wouldn't you
that
call in
do
the,
help me have regular jobs, but they need working when,
Oh, when it's snowing, right, because their companies are closed as well, is what I'm saying. But once they reopen, they gotta go back to work.
so,
so we figure out a time that they can be a part of the action and get it done.
Maybe in the
And then-
evenings or something when they get
I
home.
don't want to use,
I'm sure
I don't
you
think
are.
that's going to happen.
And they're,
Maybe evenings when they get home.
they're predicting half of last year, whatever that's worth.
All right.
But,
Well, hold on, I want to clarify Elaine's question. Elaine, your question, is it more of where do they put the snow?
Well, it's not where they put it, it's the length of, there's no place to go, and
Nowhere to
if
go, yeah.
it's kind of treacherous to be able to see beyond, and you almost pull out onto Dumont Road, and the cars are coming around the corner, you can't see it, it's like a...
Okay, well, it's not related to manpower, it's related to the design of where they're putting the snow.
Well,
Right.
it can be put to an open
Continuous
field.
sidewalk,
Okay.
you go
Yeah,
by,
there's no
like,
curbs.
like your house, you only got the driveway there. Everything's going somewhere.
Yeah.
Here, it's just driveway.
Driveways.
There's
We-
no
Everybody's
curb.
got big
You know what
walls
it
Yeah,
is.
yeah, oh, yeah.
So everybody shovels it up like this,
Yeah.
and you can't see around it.
Right.
I think to the extent that,
Aye.
you know, just being mindful of their,
Mrs. Bodie's.
yeah,
Well, I
that-
know
they're-
last year towards the end there, like I said, we cleaned up quite a few
You did.
cul-de-sacs as well as up to Stackers.
Right.
And plus we were going around
We went
like
that far?
Dumont and all them places, taking down the big hill.
Right, which is
Yeah.
what I think that
You
I
jumping
think that
across
that's
the
what they're
street?
asking,
Okay.
because they are saying that can it be like automatic, not have to come and call and complain?
Right.
And get to the clerk and then have the clerk call you? Can it be something that's like, oh, that's a big mountain, we've got to move it?
Isn't there that open space right across from that street? Isn't that open space where the power lines are?
Yes, there are.
We don't have to take it to Stecker.
Yes,
Yes,
you are.
right,
Yes,
yeah, we
you are.
want to do that. We
All
want
right,
to
so-
continue doing that, too.
So, John, in certain developments that have a drainage area, in Ladocks or Greenfields, right? There's a drainage area in the center. Do you use that, or do you haul the snow down the street to Stacker?
Well, either that or if there's a field next to it, like
Yeah.
out here, I was hauling cul-de-sacs away, we were putting it right on our property.
Right.
Yeah, 'cause we
Yeah,
have
we
a
should
bunch
dump it
of-
around
we
our
have-
bubble.
Sometimes
the
I'd be-
closest
I'd go into the
retention
back,
basin.
Where if I was backing a 10-ton dump truck in there, we might be pulling out the chain.
Mm-hmm.
It all depends on how stiff the, how muddy it gets on top.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, you don't want to get those stuck in a retention basin.
Like I said, I don't have any evidence.
Well, it was getting pretty cold the other night, but,
Yeah.
what about, the roads, and I don't know if we're done with snow here, but, the roads, the hot patching, the seams, and
Well,
the drains?
you gotta go back to, I don't know if we have power and money. I mean, there's a lot of backfill that's been done out there. we just simply want to.
Do you have a log of what's been done?
Like all your development roads right now, if you had a good maintenance on the crack sealing, if you dedicated 50 grand a year, and boom, 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 had something come in and do it, you can stay together. Like your outer roads, they're the ones that are capped. Because basically the one that gets paved is the one that I'm fixing. It has no potholes, one that I'm going through every week, fix the potholes.
For money?
I know we do.
Like I take the back part behind that disaster. Clock run was falling apart, and there's a prospect going out to the highway and up on the hill there, I did about 500 or 700 some odd percent.
Is there like a formula of how many, I don't know, how many potholes and how many miles or whatever, how many linear feet you can do per manpower per day or whatever? Is there anything, or is it doesn't have, there's no specified,
We'll pick a day and go
and
around.
just go out there and hit 'em?
Bad truck, the next day might be trimming trees, if we're on the snow. Last year we got nothing done. Besides cleaning up snow.
okay.
And the storm drains, the clean out of the storm drains, is that fall under your guys' responsibility?
What's that, the snow?
Yeah.
No.
I think we need now with the leaves in preparation for
Is that
those.
the retention
Basically,
basins?
that's the wastewater management thing there. I mean, we don't have enough people to go around, we got 800 some odd greens.
800.
Do we know how many we have? We have 800.
800?
Are we talking retention basins?
The
No, the sewer grates. The
Oh,
inlets that
oh,
go into the
okay.
street, there's a little
We
grate.
got over 800 some. But for the problem one, that's when we go the same way when we fix it. The side falls in, we fix it.
So it's
Little
just,
hole.
so it's just reactionary.
Same way with sinkholes, you know.
So is there a high level, is there a plan that you guys work off of, like you're going to do over the next 2-3 weeks? Do you project out what you're going to be doing?
Yeah, that's gonna come.
Yeah, snow
something
changes to
happens,
start.
right?
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. And who's DPW?
So do you have a copy of what you did all summer? Like,
Like you have logbooks and stuff?
You have that?
Yeah.
Can you provide us with that?
I think what we're interested in is,
Manpower was distributed in the summer.
yeah, is the reporting of this.
I'm willing.
Okay.
So now I got a calendar there that I write down.
So it's 800 cranes.
And Michael, we could talk to you afterwards about putting a bid spec together to retain a company to do the crack sealing. Okay.
Is that better?
Yeah.
That actually probably would be a co-op. That's
Yeah.
perfect for co-op.
So,
Then
let's-
with the whole bid
let's-
process, you already got the cheapest bid.
Right, right.
So, again, I don't think they've awarded the 2015. They've received
Yeah.
the co-op, but we'll know all that shortly.
Yeah, so we could take care of that, so we'll have that addressed through,
Yeah, because I mean, you're basically, all your development roads don't need overlays, they just need to seal up.
right, we'll get that done. So, any other questions for John?
Do we hit lawn cutting?
No, I'm just talking about this topic.
Okay.
So we covered the plow, and is this something to suggest now?
No, not yet. I
Okay.
think we should look at what the summer was, which is
Okay.
what I asked John to provide,
Okay.
so that we
Well, I
can
meant
take
in terms
at a
of cleaning
glance.
drains or plowing, or,
Well,
for the
we just
additional...
did we just did the Mexio.
I
We're
know.
replacing one, so you're asking if we should have
Yeah.
another one?
There's an alternate.
Okay.
Right, yeah.
So,
Yeah, so
we're
I think we
gonna-
received
yeah.
several resumes, so what I'm thinking is,
Yeah.
maybe Matthew
Hire both.
Reniger, we hire Matthew Reniger as an alternate seasonal worker, just to
On call.
provide the additional, to help with the drain cleaning, and to help with the snow removal, afterwards.
You know, however we proceed with
Yeah,
the lawn
whatever, yes, exactly. So, just so I don't forget, can I have a motion to hire Matthew Reniger as an alternate seasonal worker?
As needed?
As needed.
care. I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Comment? Roll call?
Bailey?
Yes.
Miliani?
Yes.
Adams?
Yes.
Warren?
Yes.
Riddle?
Yes. Okay, so now you... Yeah, exactly. So, all right, if we don't have any other discussions about snow plow, snow removal, and drains, moving to grass cutting. Can you explain for us the process for how you deploy the resources, how many acres
Well, we
approximately?
got approximately 80.
Okay.
And process is basically, we always go with the highs, and then we come back around, it's just going to get to, wherever you start, come
We'll
back
just keep
around and
going
start
back.
again. And time-wise and man-wise, it all depends on vacation, sick, the mower broke down, I have the guy sweeping, dusting the sides of the road, weed control, all depends who's all available at the time. So we could have one mower out there, or we could have three mowers out.
How many of those,
Basically, I get up in the morning and my day can change instantly, what like today.
Who calls out?
I was going to do the Christmas tree, put up the field of snow fence poles and
You're cleaning out the
smooth
bait.
and cut.
Yeah.
So it all depends. I can walk in the office, my lights on my phone, I got sinkholes, toothpaste and stuff. I mean, I got a general plan of what I'm going to do with that. Sometimes that changes in an instant.
Well, sure, the weather could even
Right.
change.
Even rain, or, and then you might be stranded around a little more, trying to get it all done.
how many of
I
the
mean, we
80
constantly will
acres,
put on the, with this baseball, maybe get them areas a little quicker.
Mhm.
Stuff like that.
Sports drives it, yeah.
how many of the 80
You would
acres are
consider the rec fields
recreation?
as a priority if you
Yeah.
needed to? Okay.
So like we had a situation there, the rec field wasn't too bad, but I was burning belts trying to get that cut down when you call me that time. Well, I'm trying to get this done, but, you ain't got that. But yeah, I mean, I can bounce you around. I mean, that's what I do all the time. Nothing's ever certain when I get here. The plan, but
How many mowers?
we got 3 months.
3?
How many of the 80 acres are recreation related?
Let me say, about 2 years. Second, 31. Here, I guess you could call that recreation too. Let's say about 38.
All right, it's about half.
Just almost,
Right.
yeah,
I
almost
mean, I'm not
50%.
counting the part of the schools that don't have.
Part of the-
practice. Yeah,
Right,
that's-
Yeah, who does the schools? Is that you, or
we
is-
do all-
you do the schools, and you're including their
Service.
fields?
Um,
No, they do their
You said
fields.
rec part, I'm trying to figure
How many
out
field,
what
other
was
fields
rec
are work?
part.
Right.
I wasn't counting up and around the school.
Oh, okay, yeah, you're
You don't do
differentiating.
the school itself, you do the fields that are at the school.
You do it all.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
it's part of the
You
shared
know
service.
the shared service agreement? Okay.
Yep.
And you do the de-icer application for the school?
We do that too, but we don't.
You don't
We don't
plow,
plow,
just the
right.
de-icer application. So the shared service is the de-icer application and the cutting of all grass.
Right.
Mhm.
Or the use
I always thought it was just the fields
The
that
use
were
of
up there.
the
fields and
And the gym.
Navy.
Okay. Do we have currently any written policies or anything regarding Greenwich Township equipment being kept within Greenwich Township or used only for Greenwich Township purposes?
But the same we use for Greenwich.
Mm.
Unless we're doing our shared service and paving.
Okay.
Be in Harmony, Franklin, Harmony, Franklin, Putnam.
I'm sorry, we have shared services with paving with what municipalities? Harmony
Harmony, Franklin, Putnam.
and Pohat. Okay. The reason I asked, is there any other reason Greenwich Township equipment would leave Greenwich Township?
No.
Okay. The reason I asked that is, I was contacted yesterday about a Greenwich Township truck in Lopakon Township the other day, and that our DPW department was in Lopakon Township with a Greenwich Township truck.
So that's very possible. Or if I have
What-
to get signatures for vouchers or something like that.
What type of signatures and for what vouchers?
I went to Don Hendershot, which is on the Hill Road. I went to Upside.
Were you over in Lopat with the meeting with the truck at all, with
I might have went
DPW?
through that way to get to the next place I was going.
Do you have a recollection of being there?
Not a candy shop.
You know what you're talking about.
I might have read
The
it.
building.
Might have been.
Can stop at Lopac on DPW. Is that
I could have
fair?
asked questions to Lee there.
But there's no policy, it was the original question, there's no policy about Greenwich Township equipment staying within the confines.
I still don't understand if the Harmony Franklin Pohat shared service agreement for paving. I don't understand that.
Do we have
Doing
one?
that since I've been here, 28 years.
I know, and
I don't have the paperwork for it.
Yeah.
I've never seen paperwork on this, it's just sort of an unwritten rule.
yeah, I've never.
and how does that work?
Ohio has a paver,
Yeah,
Harmony brings the roller,
Right.
you bring the...
Oh, so it's like a joint thing, like a...
So we each have a different piece of equipment that the other doesn't
I
have.
got
Yeah.
so they all work
I got
together,
you. Okay.
so that we wouldn't have to go out and write.
Okay.
Okay, so the insurance company knows all this, right?
Are you sure? That's
That this is
a,
a mutual agreement thing here.
that our equipment is outside the township doing business.
I've never known.
Okay.
All right,
We need to do that.
That's a liability. to
It's a
guys.
liability.
That's a,
Okay.
It's huge.
yeah, we gotta make sure we
Yep.
at least, if something were to happen to you in another township while
And
you're
our
operating our
workers.
equipment, they're gonna say, well, you're doing work for
Uh-huh.
Greenwich, and you're gonna go, no. You know, I wanna make sure that we're
Yeah, the
we're covered.
policy
That's-
probably,
that's a risk.
without a rider, it's not going to cover it.
That's a risk, that's a risk.
Okay.
Do we want to do a motion to cover
Yeah.
or that?
I'd like to make a motion authorizing the township clerk to contact the appropriate insurance agency regarding securing any appropriate riders or addendums to existing insurance policies to cover DPW workers, equipment, workers' compensation, or any other appropriate coverage
In those three
regarding,
towns.
regarding work being done in Cohasset Township, Harmony Township, and Franklin Township. Mhm. And with them,
Does Frank need to review?
Certificate of insurance.
With review, right.
With review by
Hmm?
Frank.
on official business.
I'll make that motion.
And we always end up...
Second.
Comment?
Yeah.
That's fine. We
Gotta
just
do
want to
with
make
Frank.
sure
Yeah.
we're insured and we're
Look into that.
covered and we know where you
Okay.
are. I mean, that's really concerned if something
Roll
could happen.
roll call.
We're going to fix parts up, some
Yes.
people be driving through...
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Joe, do you know of any other,
You said Joe.
I'm sorry, John. Any other agreements like that, or actions that are going on, or things that are going on that we don't, that we don't know about, that we're doing, that we, as part of your normal repertoire
I
of
mean, if I
stuff to
need
do?
somebody, I mean, I can call Ron Reed and help, like, I got a bad truck in one road.
Right, right.
No, we only got, what, 2 or 3 guy, I need somebody back here with flags, so I may call Ron Reed, hey,
So it's a gentleman's agreement.
throw a flag around for us.
I think what we're going to start doing moving forward, I think, we have a monthly police report and a monthly court report.
Yep.
We're going to start needing a monthly written report from DPW and really all other departments. The only question that I have is in terms of specific reporting matrix. So I think what I'd like to propose is we as a township committee will come up with some information that we need. As a liaison, I'll communicate that with you, John, and then if you think there's any additional or more important information where you say, Joe, this is really what you need to know.
I said that on my one report I gave you, I said from this time to this time, it's pretty repetitious.
Yeah,
No grass, no grass.
Right, but so we'll develop some sort of guideline in terms of the
KPI or something,
information.
right.
I don't know that we necessarily, we could let you, create a form that's
Right.
user-friendly for you. We don't want to make it, any more onerous
I
than
could
possible.
even sit with them now,
Okay.
and work up some sort of thing that's easy
Great,
to punch in.
great.
It's like an easy form where you just punch in numbers. We got to do a manpower usage and equipment usage and job or something like that with comments on it. And
Process
he can-
flows and
Like you
colors.
said, it changes every day. There should be some sort of special comments in there that says, hey, plan, this was the plan, you could do the weekly plan, and then do a plan versus actual, and then put comments in there.
And I think what we'll do is, John, we'll use between now and the end of the year to work through, to develop the reporting, and then we can hit the ground running in January.
You gotta remember, I'm working.
Yep.
I ain't got much time to
Right,
sit behind
right.
that.
Yeah, we'll figure it out, but I think it's going to be a requirement in terms of, we're going to need your input so that we can more effectively
Make
do our
decisions,
job, and that's, I think, will be helpful for everybody. And it'll also allow, I think, in you preparing the report, when you see it in writing, it'll get you thinking about deployment of resources and how things are going, and when things are in paper, you know, if you're having a bad week and it consistently, you'll be able to look at it and say, well, maybe I need to shift this up. But I think it's as the person in charge of DPW, I think, you know, it's a good management tool, certainly for your department and for us. So we'll be looking forward to working with you on that between now and the end of the year. So that starting in January, you can start providing regularly monthly reporting to the Township Committee.
And they'll be basic, though, they're not going to
Yeah.
be very intricate, they're not going to take more than a couple of minutes to put the
Right,
number
right.
in.
We'll figure it out.
You want a motion for
I'll
that,
help
Joe?
out with that.
What's that?
You want a motion for to add the DPW?
Sure, sure. You want to, can I have a motion to require DPW effective January 1, 2015, to provide monthly reporting to the Township Committee?
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Written report.
But it's going to be developed now.
Unless you want to come in and talk.
Yeah. So,
Yeah, John, you could, this would be helpful for you even to come and address things that you need addressed that we
Right.
don't know what's going on.
Right.
exactly.
Before I'm done, I got you.
He's like, you don't know what you just did.
I'm ready.
Roll call.
Mhm.
3 people, so I ain't talking Barrington at 8, Barrington 9. If I have vacations and quit it up, and we use it. You know, if I'm one person sitting here and I got 2-person job, there's a vacation, I'm waiting till 9 o'clock, I'm jittering around. I'm not really getting
Well, now you have a seasonal employee who you can call up.
Roll call.
Kennelis? Milioti?
Yes.
Adams?
Yes.
Lori?
Yes.
Miller?
Yes.
So are you saying you're using the seasonal employee to backfill for vacations as
We don't know.
approved?
We'll have
We
it
don't know.
tested.
We
It's
can
got
look
to
at
be
that.
These are
something we've got to
resources.
We can look at that.
Yep.
We'll look at that.
All right.
Thank you, John.
Thanks, John.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it.
Have a good night.
You too. Those are all my items. So with that, can we take a 2-minute break, please?
Sure, I'll make a
Yes,
motion
Joe.
for a short break.
Yeah.
For 5 minutes?
Yeah.
Yep, make a motion.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Did we do it any faster?
Oh, no, we really can't. Thank you.
Have you been briefed on the, little unofficial stuff that
I
was
saw
done?
the email, so I talked to Jim.
Okay, so he told you a little bit about,
Yeah, about them moving down their status from low patch to 3.
with all the
And to put
pressure
a
that's
bill
on
of-
them.
Yeah, there's too much pressure on them.
Yeah, okay.
People are depending upon them, and they should be developing their own resource and responding. I just hope that, you know, it's not tempered by somebody who automatically leaves them, as opposed to them not, I don't know how it all works, but.
If they become this, they get to the point where, you know, they'll have to talk through their township committee.
Well, that's interesting. Which one is that, OPAT?
Well, that would be the new committee.
There's only one new person. There's only one, the mayor is changing. Tom McKay is going to take the mayor.
Well, they've had some other changes too. Last year, they had some new people, didn't they?
Donna Schneider, last year, 2 years ago, last year. Lori, Chelsea, yes.
I mean,
No, I don't
They
know.
gotta get the 911 person on board, so you can't do it without that person.
Or they go into a pension.
Yeah, but the language,
He resigned on his side to go because he's
Wow.
in position.
Wow, guy's getting old.
keep delaying, and meanwhile, you know,
Oh, okay.
they don't want members to be
Yeah,
claiming
but the
because,
others,
you know, I can see that being a problem.
They can say, okay, you're right. And instead, they're saying, well, even though the national accounting standard, which they follow, says you can't recognize revenue from the state unless it's budgeted by the state, they're saying recognize it in. I know. I'm not saying anything.
The other one's, you're favoring one, you're using one more. I can feel that in my knee when I do that too. Well, doesn't make you a dizzy. Because if it does, then it's not worth the trip down.
He's probably going to say,
Can I ask a question, Bob, while we're in the register? Clean Communities, is that a grant that we apply for? Is that automatic? What is it?
I think you do some filing for it. Pretty much it's a standard number.
That's what I thought.
The open.
Any chance that, like utilities, they would be pulling it from the township?
Excellent. Rain over here. Excellent.
As long as the government controls subject to funding in the governor's budget.
Okay, I'm thinking future, I don't know.
Yes.
Ring how many days? And you're still 90.
I wrote it down. 800.
But if you do two a day,
I told you much about the software.
The way you gotta try and find the flow, just try to like where which course of the sinkhole, you gotta try and find that. Sometimes easy, sometimes it's not. Sometimes you can never find it. And then you basically seal it all. Where you typically don't fix the sinkhole.
Who are we waiting for?
Tom had a biological issue.
Mr. Kalari.
November 10th.
No, I mean, if is it right next to the inlet?
Yes, right next to the inlet.
Okay, then it should be, okay, it should be done right, because
For what, the resolution?
I think we're just going to have to show
going
her.
back.
It's really big.
Is she yelling at you? I got yelled
It
at
was after November 6th, but it was on the agenda November 6th, and it was a different
No,
resolution.
You know what? You totally skipped over. You're going to do Bob, right? You're going to do
Different resolution in November 6th.
I got an easy walk up. I don't want to hear nothing.
And the one that was handed
Just
out in the
enough
November one was different
No
too.
question.
I got this.
It was the
John
resolution.
Grill. I got it right here.
Did you see what
It's
you
read
read?
in November, which is why I recirculated it.
I always wonder, when is it gonna go?
Well,
I'll be down 1,000 feet.
Oh, yeah, I know that.
I just want to, just do FYI.
Fair
I don't
enough.
think you have to worry about that.
This resolution, this is the one that's going to resolution.
I'll make the motion to come out of recess.
Yeah, why are you with me in the ordinance?
Can I have a second? Comment, roll call. Aye.
I was talking about bill pay ordinance.
Okay, Jim.
Thank you. Just before we get to the audit, hang on, Bob. I just wanted to do an FYI for everyone's edification here on the Township Committee. Myself and Angelo attended the Greenwich Township Emergency Squad meeting, and they discussed some issues regarding the mutual aid, and they put out a letter. So I wanted to just make sure that everyone had that as an FYI. I physically distributed that. to
I did
everybody.
see it. Thank you.
Oh, you did? Okay. Thank you for the, then I double did it. So, it was just an FYI.
Yeah, no action is necessary for
No
the
action
Township
is
Committee, it's just
necessary.
for informational purposes.
Okay, before we get into the final, or the draft of the final audit, I'd like to mention the preliminary audit, Bob, that you did on March 26th, 2014, and it was titled "Conditions Encountered During Preparation of the Annual Financial Statement Unaudited." I wanted to ask, is this a public document, and can we and should we be posting this?
It's a public document, absolutely.
Which document are you referring to? What's the date of it? March 26th. Yes.
Yeah.
We voted on it, and it could go on the website?
Yeah, how do we affect that?
Well, let me tell you, you can put anything on the website you want, but let me tell you what the Department of Community Affairs considers to be best practices. They want or they suggest that every municipality in the state should upload their annual debt statement on an annual basis, their annual financial statement on an annual basis, their annual budget on an annual basis, and their annual audit on an annual basis. So 4 docs that the state would like to see on every municipality's website.
Again, you threw too many annuals in for me.
Annual debt statement, annual financial statement, which is the unaudited document that letter was written in
Oh, okay.
association with.
Oh, okay, I see now.
The annual budget, your municipal budget document, and then the audit document. which-
So,
The final one, okay.
so we could have, we even have, like, our target goal was 5 years worth of all this information on there. Okay.
Yeah. and those-
That's also best practices, so.
Yeah, and the contents of that letter were also included in the annual financial statement. They were included, I think, sheet 1A of the document, so.
We don't have annual debt statements on the webpage,
No,
for
that
sure.
we don't.
I've never,
Mhm.
so that's
No.
one
That's
Budget we do,
probably
audit we
the
have a
least
couple.
informative for any readers, because all it does is, restate the bond and note issues that you have outstanding, and
mhm.
gives you your percentage of your maximum permitted debt that you're at. So,
Where can we get the report so we can download it?
the reports are all on file. I have
Okay.
PDF copies. I think.
From yours, and then I...
Well,
Here's what I'll do.
Who's going to upload, and I will get copies.
I'm in charge of the webpage, so I will send you an email and I will copy our webmaster and say, Bob, by copy of this, can you please provide Cindy with the following, and she will upload it. She knows where to do it. It's a 5-minute
Because
easy.
I've got searchable PDFs of every...
Fantastic.
Of the first 3 and the 4th one coming.
Great.
Wonderful.
Thank you. Excellent. Okay, so let's move into the draft of the final audit.
Okay. Let me first explain why we're doing it in draft right now. There are 2 things that had to occur before I could issue a final report. The first one is an internal technical review of this document by my partner, because that's our operating procedures are. I review all his audits to make sure he's on point with all of the technical issues that are involved in an audit, and he does the same for me. The second thing is, we had one additional adjustment to the financial statements from budget time, and they're not my financial statements, they're the township's financial statements, so I don't publish a report in final form until I talk to the CFO and there's an agreement as to the need for the adjustment. It's not an important adjustment. Lorraine and I have spoken about it tonight. We had actually spoken in general terms about it a couple of months ago. Essentially, what we did was we went back, and part of the problem we were having with the cash reconciliations, there was a problem with communication between the tax office and the finance office, and Lorraine was carrying a large unidentified deposit transit on her October cash reconciliation. We went back and we were able to find that large unidentified deposit transit was in fact tax office stuff that had gotten posted as unidentified miscellaneous revenue. So essentially what we did was we lowered the cash balance and we lowered the carrying value of the unidentified cash receipts account. So no impact on fund balance or operating results. But before I issue a report, I wanted the CFO to hear what we were proposing and agree to it. So as soon as the technical review is done, we will file this, and I will get a PDF, searchable PDF version for you to upload. As far as the audit itself goes,
And by the way, just timing-wise, when do you anticipate that?
Within a week.
Within a week, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
The numbers didn't change since March, the annual financial statement. So during the course of the audit examination, we didn't find any additional problems that required adjusting the financial statements. Right? What we were essentially doing is doing all kinds of tests of compliance and tests of the functionality of your internal control process.
Mhm.
Right? We're also looking for additional audit adjustments to the financial statement. But the good news is, we apparently caught all we were going to catch at annual financial statement time. Now, that said, our opinion on the financial statements is not a clean opinion. It is, in fact, a disclaimer of opinion. There's, on our report, there's a paragraph called Basis for Disclaimer of Opinion. And essentially, after all the work we did, we were unable to obtain enough information that we felt was reliable relating to tax office transactions and the maintenance of the general ledger for tax office transactions that we could say with audit certainty, which is within materiality limits, that the tax office transactions are complete, are fairly stated, and that applicable rules were followed. There were several problems we found in the tax office. The first one was that there was virtually no communication of tax office transactional data to finance. The only report that was going over was a cash report. And the problem with the cash report was that it did not list individual deposits. It had numbers that totaled up to a total, but you could not say, all right, this first number, I should have a deposit, and it would be there. It wouldn't be there. You would have to take parts of one number and part of another number, and it would then tie to a deposit. So the form of the report that was coming over was insufficient to allow for the types of checks and balances that a functioning internal control system would have.
When you say, I'm sorry to interrupt when I want the record to be clear, when you say tax office, are you referring to the tax collector, the tax assessor, or both?
I'm referring to actually the tax clerk was the person who was doing it. And what she
Well,
was
forget how we do it internally, but is the information that
tax
is...
collector information.
Okay,
Right. It's information that would normally come
that's what I need to
above a tax collector's signature.
Okay.
The woman who you have functioning in that office, she's very well-intentioned, she's hardworking, she's diligent, but she doesn't know the system. It's right. You have a computerized tax accounting system that has some characteristics that are unique to tax collection in New Jersey, and the functionality of that system and the controls on that system requires some training that she never had. For example, every time there was a problem with a cash receipt, either it got posted to the wrong property code, or it got posted to the wrong tax year, or it got posted in the wrong amount. Once you post a cash receipt, you don't post another cash receipt, you post an adjusting entry to correct it.
Right.
They have different codes for different types of adjustments. She wasn't using the codes correct. She was throwing everything in a catch-all. So in the catch-all, you would have adjustments that impacted the monthly report that would go over to finance. You would have adjustments that would impact senior citizens and veterans deductions being allowed or disallowed. It would have county board appeal adjustments and any other legitimate type of adjustment. And when everything was said and done, we look at the information and we say, okay, we can get to the ending balance, and we ended up with about $15,000 worth of cancellations that are not supported, or we don't know the reasons why they were made. That's within materiality limits, but it certainly is not comforting to an auditor. And essentially what we determined was that we think it's possible, because of the lack of control and the lack of reporting and the lack of monthly proofs, that material mistakes could be made and they wouldn't have been caught. And as a result of that, we feel we cannot issue an opinion on the financial statement taken as a whole. Now, that being said, we put a lot of time into correcting the errors we found, correcting the omissions, adding data as we came across it that hadn't been posted to the records. So we're comfortable that your financial statements are a reasonable estimate of where you stand, but not following accounting principles, not following auditing standards, rather, set by the American Institute of CPAs. We can't get there following those standards.
What was the categorization of the $15,000?
It was called remitted and canceled. It's a minus number necessary to get to the ending balance. And what we tried to do is normally we confirm a random sample of the ending tax balances, send out notices to the homeowners, or it's usually homeowners, mortgage companies are usually all paid up. The homeowners asking them, to please indicate whether you agree with this balance or disagree with this balance and send it back. We got very few responses, which you can look at that as a good thing. It means that they're not disputing it, but without positive responses, we cannot, we were trying to find a way around the problems we had during the audit, and if we had gotten a lot of positive responses as to the balances, we would have much better audit evidence to form an opinion on. But it wasn't there.
This is all 2013.
We're covering the year 2013, right? We did not look beyond 2013 other than to see if corrective actions had started to be made, that type of thing. But we were not auditing 2014. So that's the opinion on the financial statements. We also issue a report on our tests and evaluation of your internal controls and your compliance with laws and regulations. This report is required based on auditing standards promulgated by the Office of the Comptroller General of the United States. The Division of Local Government requires us to follow these standards in the course of our audit. Essentially, we found some what we consider to be material weaknesses in internal control, some significant deficiencies in internal control, and a reportable non-compliance with the laws and regulations of the state of New Jersey. Those items appear in the general comments section of the report. Essentially, the first item deals with the tax office records. And what we're essentially saying is that the internal control process has to be such that there is accountability and proofs being performed on a monthly basis, right? The tax collector should be forwarding a monthly report to the finance office that will allow for general ledger maintenance and allow for the general ledger balances in delinquent taxes receivable, current property taxes receivable, tax title liens receivable, to agree with the records being maintained by the tax office. That was not the case at any point during 2013 because there was no communication of that information. So there's recommendations relating to this in the back of our report, and essentially...
It's my understanding that we're doing that now.
You have improved because you have, since the spring of this year, you have had a couple of people in that office who understand how the system works. But the key to the whole thing is going to be, first, making sure that the system capabilities are being utilized, because it's a nice software package. It will do a nice job of producing reports that will say, here's what was billed, here's all the adjustments that were made for the various legitimate categories that can change a bill. It could be, tax appeals. It could be, God forbid, a house burns down. It could be senior citizens and veterans deductions, etc. Overpayments being applied. And it will give you a breakdown of all those amounts and produce detailed lists of the properties involved, so we can then test them and go back into the files maintained by the tax office to determine the validity of each of the entries. Cash proofs have to be done, and that if a valid report was being sent to finance, one of the processes at the month-end cash reconciliation and proof would be to identify all the deposits, and in the event that you can't identify a deposit, notify the tax office. That's an area that had me concerned, and that's one of the reasons for the opinions, because what was happening is you'd get this report in to finance from the tax office, And you could, and it'd be, and, you know, in the month of October, there was, you know, $38,000 worth of deposits, according to the tax office report, that did not show up on the bank statement, or at least it didn't appear that they did. Now, we, you know, having been around the block a few times, the first thing I think of when I hear a tax office deposit not hitting the bank is not that it really did hit the bank, but it's in 37 different pieces and we just haven't identified it. I'm thinking somebody absconded with the deposit bag. So, you know, I don't need these heart attacks. But that's what you want to watch out for, because if in fact somebody had absconded with $38,000, we'd be talking about it, you know, 4 months later, you know, in March when we were first coming with this. So a monthly proof and a clearance of all deposits in transit within 1 month has to be the rule, and there's a recommendation on that too. You know, a deposit in transit at the end of a month is, in theory, money that was taken to the bank on the last day of the month after the close of business for banking purposes. So it's not going to show up on your bank statement, but it shows up in your records as collected on the last day of the month. So you would expect that to show up on the bank statement the next day. Sometimes when you're dealing with, you know, with some outside offices, they post things in the last day of the month, but they may not get to the bank for 2 or 3 days. So, at any rate, you know, the laws of the state of New Jersey say it should be 2 business days. You should see all of them clearing. Right? If it's a week, that's not the worst thing. But, you know, from October to the end of the year, you know, when that type of thing starts happening, that should be, you know, flares should be going up, alarm bells should be ringing, and, you know, somebody has to resolve that issue, because an unresolved deposit in transit could be indicative of a lot worse things than just bad record keeping in the tax office.
Right.
The second item that we have we considered a material weakness was, once again, the general ledger. This was caused by a combination of factors. The tax office was a big part of it, because no information was coming over. But there were some other pieces. Audit adjustments from the prior year for most of the funds hadn't been posted. Now, the financial statement, right, the way I think my suggestion is how this should be done is when the financial statement is filed, you have trial balances for the December 31st period. At that point, the auditor should be communicating the necessary adjustments to the CFO, getting the CFO's concurrence, and at that point, those entries should be made. When the audit is finalized, if there are any additional adjustments, before the audit gets filed, take them up with the CFO, get concurrence, and then file the supplemental adjustments when the audit is filed. This way, you've got the bulk of your adjustments posted onto the system early in the year, and the system can produce reliable reports. The problem with the general ledger was at any given time during 2013, if you asked for a trial balance, most of the funds were not going to have the appropriate beginning balances, so you weren't going to have legitimate current balances. So, you know, the emphasis on general ledger maintenance at the state level is increasing on a daily basis. And the role of the auditor in corrective actions for deficiencies in general ledgers is decreasing. Every time they produce auditing standards, they're essentially limiting the amount of work an auditor can do that is remedial in nature. And the guidelines now are that we can only do remedial work to your records under the direction of your CFO, and she has the sole authority to approve the results of the work. So if I have my staff in taking a look at a problem area, and we come up with a proposed audit adjustment, I can't tell my staff to book it. I have to put them all together on a list and go to the CFO, because they're not our financial statements. right? Some auditors still have some confusion on that, and I believe that may have been part of the problem, but they're not ours, they're yours, and your CFO has the authority to maintain them, so we don't do anything unless it gets approved by the CFO. The next item dealt with the timeliness of cash reconciliation. That has improved. We've seen that. We had somebody out here 3 weeks ago, and your cash reconciliation process in 2014 and the problem we had with the deposits in transit for unidentified items, that has cleared. So the corrective action for that will basically be corrective actions have apparently been implemented. Item number 4, and this is a big one, encumbrance accounting. When you're not using your system capabilities for encumbrance accounting, you expose yourself to the risk that you're going to overexpend your budget appropriations, and the lack of encumbrance accounting is, in some places, it's an exception to the rule. In Greenwich, it's basically the rule, right? There are very few requisitions and encumbrances prior to receiving the bills to be processed for payment. So essentially, people go buy things, and when the bills come in, then they bring them to Kim and Lorraine to get approvals and get them encumbered and get them paid. But that's putting, the cart before the horse, right? And we've had discussions at finance committee level, and I think at a public meeting once earlier this year, that the process should be check, get approvals, buy, pay, not buy, get approvals, pay.
Right.
Begins with the request.
Yeah,
That's the color flow chart.
He's referring to last year. Yes, correct.
In 13, it was,
We have not extended our audit procedures on the quality of the encumbrance accounting. I can tell you that full encumbrance accounting would require you, and there's a recommendation on this, when you appoint professionals, put a dollar amount, maximum dollar amount on the contracts, so this way a purchase order can be done. You can tie up the money. Because I don't know for certain, but I'm fairly certain that next week when I deliver this report and I prepare a bill, somebody's going to have to cut a purchase order for the 2013 audit now. That could have been cut the day I was appointed, as long as the award resolution included the dollar value.
Okay.
So going forward, you want to put dollar values on your professional contracts. If you're making an award for a service that falls under the threshold, you normally do things like that by motion, based on the engineer's recommendation, the clerk's recommendation, the public works recommendation, by various recommendations. Put dollar values on those motions and make sure that copies of those actions get to finance, because that's the appropriate time to do your purchase order.
yeah, so Bob, what we have done is ensured that the resolutions, certified resolutions, end up on the CFO's desk. The not to exceed, which is the way in which we implement, I think what you're talking about, from a system perspective, that system the capabilities of that system can include the not to exceed values.
Oh, sure, absolutely. Well, the way to look at it is you budget finite amounts for public works. Let's use public works as an example. You give public works other expense budgets. They come to you at some point during the year and say, we're going to need road salt, and we're going to buy it by state contract. What should be happening is they should come to you if it's going to exceed the bid threshold and get a resolution authorizing purchases from that state contract vendor with an upset amount.
Yeah,
That
just
would be-
because it's state contract doesn't mean it's automatically authorized,
Right. it's
which
not.
is
No.
the thought process under
Right,
it. Yeah.
and there's a recommendation on that. The way state contracts work, state contracts are considered to be a fair and open procurement process, but when the law was changed, and the law was changed probably 10 years ago now, the law was changed, instead of being able to just do a blanket resolution saying, and the township can use any state contract they want. Now the law says that if you're going to use a state contract, you have to pass a resolution with an amount and the vendor. So if, going forward, when you're using state contracts, resolution, if they're over the bid threshold, resolutions should be passed. Anyway, back to my example. If the Public Works Department needs to buy sand, rock salt, tar, 37 other different types of materials, and they want to comply with the encumbrances law, once they know what they want to buy and who they're going to buy it from, they should be processing requisitions to tie up the unexpended balances of their budget. This way, if they say, well, we're going to need 200 tons of rock salt, and you have a bad winter, and you need 500 tons of rock salt, like last winter, you say, all right, this is going to go over what I estimated in my budget for rock salt. Now I have to start pulling back from some of my other places, and they may have to go in and physically change other purchase orders to cover it, so that or if they can't, then they're coming to the governing body at the earliest opportunity saying, we're going to need an emergency appropriation. Right? The idea is to be in front of the process instead of behind the process. And unfortunately, a lot of times in 2013, you're reacting rather than looking
So
forward.
you're saying the lack of encumbrances or obeying that law is what's driving the overtime, the overages in certain areas like overtime or maintenance or ops or anything like that?
Usually it's not salary related. Salary related, you can do an analysis.
Catch it right. So it's
Some
more
portion of the
operations.
year. It's the expense
Purchasing
portion of the
it,
budget, right? If you've given a department $50,000 to spend during the course of the year, and they're only showing up on the budget records as things are getting paid, what's to keep somebody from going out and buying $70,000 worth of stuff?
So you're saying if you're looking at a budgets versus actual report and those encumbrances are done, basically those numbers are
Yeah,
garbage?
at any given time, if you're looking at a year-to-date budget report, there could be a significant amount of township liabilities that aren't reflected because people have gone out and ordered stuff, and maybe it's already been delivered, but the bills haven't been processed yet. Right? The idea is to tie those funds up before the order is placed so that somebody else isn't going out and buying more stuff. Right, so that's, I mean, it's not an insurmountable problem. And once people get used to going through an encumbrance process.
Right.
So Bob, I know you went over cash reconciliations and you reflected onto the improvements in 2014. Okay,
Yes.
and all throughout this, we've done some improvements. But in 2013, what was the issue with the cash reconciliations?
Well, they were all done for December 31st. The problem was, at various other points during the year, you were 2, 3, 4 months behind. Right? If the governing body, and I know that you're going in this direction, I can see it tonight with Public Works, you're looking for more monthly information as to where the town is at, what the status of things are. Part of that information is financial reports. From my perspective, any financial report provided without having previously gotten your cash accounts improved, so that at least you know that all your receipts and all your disbursements have been posted into the records, is a risky proposition. Because if something's missing, that report's going to be wrong. So not only will you not have all of your potential liabilities for amounts that have been ordered and not booked, you may have transactions that have occurred that aren't booked. So cash reconciliations should precede monthly reports in every instance as far as I'm concerned. Because that is the basic, the most fundamental accounting proof that you have.
checks and balances.
Right.
Okay, receipts and disbursements journal. This is an interesting hybrid. I suspect it may have been done as a time-saving device, but essentially you're not keeping what an accountant or a bookkeeper would consider to be a cash receipts record any longer. What's getting posted into the general ledger is a monthly summary. So there's an Excel spreadsheet out there someplace, or the back of an envelope, where all the deposits are tallied up and split out into the
That's what we do at home.
categories. And there's one cash receipts posted. Right? A cash receipts record is a chronological listing
By item, right?
by item. And in some places, that by item can come down to by deposit ticket. Instead of, if you've got 37 kids coming in to sign up for softball, rather than list
Oh,
37 postings, we'll do one posting for the total amount and post it to softball. Right? So we don't object to summarizing it by deposit ticket, but at least so that it can be tracked back if there's a discrepancy.
Right.
The next item deals with the completeness of the official minute record. This one, you guys pass lots of stuff, and it's always referred to as as attached. But the official minute record doesn't have anything attached. So we're not the records. The laws of New Jersey say in certain instances things have to be attached to the minutes. Your minute book could be, a foot and a half thick for the year if that was the case. What a lot of our towns have done with their attorney's approval is that they keep separate attachments files, and they'll say, for the first meeting in January, we'll have the minutes, and there'll be 7 attachments noted in the minutes. They'll keep a file with January first meeting attachments, and all of the items that were discussed and were referred to in the council minutes will be in a file and will be available so that when the auditors come in and say, what were they talking about? Well, here's the attachments file for January. So that's what we're looking for there. And then finally, the last item that we covered, and this is not a reportable condition, but it is it's something that we talk about every year because it is a weakness in internal control. It's because of staffing levels. You have conditions in just about every office in town where one person collects money, records the collection of the money, prepares the deposit slip, takes the money to the bank, and then performs the cash reconciliation or prepares the monthly report to go to the finance office for those transactions. So they have one person with complete control of transactions relating to incoming money. It's not what you would expect in a larger organization with more personnel. You would like to see a division of responsibility, a segregation of duties, so that one person opens the mail, a second person prepares a deposit ticket, a third person then is responsible for preparing the monthly report, so that everybody is watching to make sure that their numbers move on to the next person. Right? When you only have one person, the controls aren't what they should be. Not that you would really want to do anything about it, because the cost of improving controls in this area would mean hiring more people, and the cost of more people would be probably more than the amount of money being collected in most offices. So this is not something that we're making any recommendation on. We're just advising you because it's something that you need to be aware of at all times, is that you have situations in this building where people control transactions from start to finish. And if somebody were to go bad, there's a good possibility that
You wouldn't be able to
You
catch
don't
it.
know about it.
something right. You wouldn't be aware of it for an extended period of time. We have in our letter, we have one material non-compliance that deals with the town's absence of a fixed asset accounting record. You've never had one. Why you need one, I don't know. Because you wouldn't use it for anything. You have lists. You have lists of buildings, equipment, machinery for insurance purposes. That really, that's the reason why you need those lists. Accounting principles say you should have the list so you can figure out what depreciation expense would be, but since we don't record depreciation as an expense in government in New Jersey, that's not a real good reason. However, the state has passed regulations requiring it, and last year they sent out notices to any auditor who was not making a monumentally big deal about this, that they were going to consider our audits deficient if we didn't start stomping our feet and screaming out loud that you need to get fixed assets. So we now have, on every one of our towns that do not have a functioning fixed asset accounting system, we are finding and having a finding of noncompliance and making a recommendation. The state used to not care about it because when they passed the regs to require fixed asset accounting, that was just about the exact same time that the state mandate state pay law was passed. And when towns said, well, if you're going to make us do it, we're going to file with the state mandates people and make you pay for it. They said, oh, we're not going to make you do it. Right? Last year, 10 years down the road, now they're saying, hey, we've got a regulation that says you have to do it. So they're going to come back, and you're going to be expected to put together a corrective action plan that says you're going to either do an inventory or pay someone to do an inventory, get software, and start maintaining fixed assets.
Yeah, we've already done one earlier this year. We haven't gotten it to the point where it needs to be in the system.
Okay, because there is a local finance notice on the fixed asset accounting to go with the regulation. It tells you what the minimums are, what the thresholds you can use for capitalization of assets are. To me, this is the worst money you could spend, but I'm just the auditor.
Well, we already started doing it. So.
Those were the big items. We have a list of recommendations in the back of the report. There's a couple of items on here that I wanted to touch base on.
Where are you in your report, Bob?
The last
There's no page numbers on it.
One deals with procurement cards. During the course of our audit, we had a couple of questions arise as to whether or not some township employees were letting other people use cards to acquire materials to do civic projects.
Flagpoles.
Flagpoles. The bottom line is, during 2013, the state came out with a new set of regulations on procurement cards and a local finance notice to go with it, telling you how to implement it. And in that local finance notice and in the regs, they are very specific as to what a procurement card is and what a procurement card isn't. A procurement card isn't a debit card, it's not a credit card, it's not an in-house credit with a vendor, and it's not a store credit card. Right? Any of those are illegal. And if you're using them, that use should stop right now. That's why I'm bringing it up. Right? A procurement card is a very specific type of card
No more Home Depot.
that is
Outlined in that.
set forth here, right? It's there
handing
are
out a Home
rules
Depot
on
card.
who
Is it
can
legal?
issue them. There are rules on what you're allowed to use them for, and you're supposed to a procurement card. You're supposed to be able to put in limits on what the uses are, what the dollar values are, who can use them, where they can use them.
So just hypothetically, if you're a former sitting mayor handing Home Depot cards out to friends to go buy flagpoles to put up, that would be illegal.
That would not be in conformity with the regulations.
I like the way you said it.
And that needs to be, if you've got cards out there that people are using to buy things in town, you need to stop it, because
It hasn't happened this
Do
year.
we have control over all these cards
it's
and where they are?
clearly not in
We have them?
conformity with the regs. And I made a copy of the reg, though, even with Kim, so that if there are any questions, she will have a copy at her fingertips.
We need an inventory of those cards.
You should actually
Yeah.
cancel the account.
Cancel the accounts.
It's easier than an inventory.
And
But the
going
Sam's Club's
forward,
going to be a problem.
going forward, one of the requirements of the use of procurement cards is governing body approval. So
Right.
nobody gets to decide who gets a procurement card and what they get a procurement card, except for the township committee. It has to come through you.
Is that a separate setup than I've read? I'm like a...
We have
just
to
a
look
red
at the
account
regs. We have
under-
to look at what he's got there.
Yeah, there are a number of
Yeah,
issues.
okay.
Normally, they're issued by credit card companies.
Right.
But they're done with special qualifications.
Right, okay.
Okay, so we have, what we have today
Yeah.
needs to be canceled, and we move to another form of
Right.
the same thing.
It's a credit card that we use at any store. It's not a Home Depot card, Lowe's card. I'm saying you can't have a specific card for a store.
Okay, whatever.
I'm just saying.
You have to look at, you have to read the rules and regs.
Well, first of all, since I didn't see any approvals for use of any cards in the minutes, nobody should be using a card unless of course you have an ordinance where you've built in the use of these cards into the ordinance. I don't think you have that.
No.
So this is gonna have to be
No, this is the good old boy, authorization.
The reorganization meeting agenda each year is,
The good old boy.
is authorization of procurement cards, if you're going to allow their use. Okay, like I said, I'll leave this with you, because there are some very specific limitations on their use that whoever you're going to do business with has to
Follow.
Okay.
Jesus.
As long as it's within the
Good stuff,
law.
keep going.
It's okay.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, the one last thing I want to talk about is, we had a situation, and originally our tests didn't catch it because we were testing, we had selected a quarter to test, and it wasn't the quarter that the problem occurred. But essentially, as part of every audit we do, we perform tests to determine that every employee of the township that's eligible to be enrolled in the pension system has been enrolled. Because failure to get somebody enrolled in time can become a significant liability for the town in case something happens to them. We also test to determine that
My head hurts.
anybody who is eligible for benefits has been enrolled when they're eligible to be enrolled, and we also test to make sure that anybody who is no longer eligible for benefits has been removed from the rolls. Then finally, we test now to make sure that the proper amount of employee co-payment for health insurance is being deducted. We had no problems with our tests for the period we tested, but we tested the second quarter. Word got back to us about a problem. So we then went back to the first quarter, and we covered what we found in the report. Essentially, somebody wasn't taken off the roster of eligible employees. So the township continued to pay for January, for February, for March. It turns out that a COBRA request had been filed in December, but the state did not approve the COBRA request because the person hadn't been removed from the roster. When all this came to light in March, early April, the person was removed from the roster, the person paid for the health benefits that had been afforded through the township's plan, and the person went on COBRA benefits. So after everything was said and done, in this instance, there was no harm and no foul, because the right amounts had been paid, right? COBRA benefits, you're allowed to charge up to 102% of what the cost of the insurance was. You charge the cost of the insurance. So insurance was paid for when it wasn't an entitlement, and essentially the town was made whole. The problem going forward is that you may not be so lucky and have somebody reimbursing it. So we have a recommendation in here that says on a monthly basis, somebody, before the bill gets to the governing body for approval and payment, somebody
Check
needs
it.
to certify to you that they have checked the roster and that the roster does not contain any ineligible persons.
Bob, I gotta ask. We just went through this last month, where we had an individual.
Two,
Two?
I think.
Yeah, one or two. What is the rule in terms of not attaching the individuals that are, for benefits? Why isn't there just an automatic, here's an invoice, here's the detail of the parts that I've purchased, okay? Here's your pension payment or your healthcare benefits payment. Why isn't that detail of who's covered normally just given?
There's no reason it shouldn't be, let me put it that way. And because of the way that you conduct your business, the governing body, the finance committee, essentially reviews all vouchers and signs off on them before you get to approving bill lists. If you want rosters attached, don't pay the bill unless the roster's attached. I think my recommendation, though, is not to hold back on bills, because then you might end up jeopardizing somebody's insurance coverage. My recommendation is that you assign somebody a task. Don't put this bill on our pile unless you check that roster. And by the way, we want you to certify that to us before we pass the bill list. Because, insurance is not cheap, and anybody who's left on a roster hasn't done anything wrong. The problem is not with the person who's on the roster. The problem is with the person who's supposed to be reviewing the roster.
Yep.
So
Good, okay.
that's the issue there.
Thank you.
As I said,
So will we be able to go back, you think we'll be able to go back and take those folks off and get credit for that,
the
or what?
problem, we've run across this before. This is not a problem that's unique to Greenwich Township. What's happened in the past is that you'll be paying for insurance premiums and benefits that aren't being used because the people aren't
Correct.
aware that they've not been taken off the roster.
Correct.
And it has been difficult to get refunds.
Okay.
So, next steps in terms of
The
this?
next step is, since I've already had the conversation with Lorraine on the adjustment, I will forward her the accounts with the exact amounts of debits and credits tomorrow morning. As soon as my partner gets done with his review of the document, we will bind it up and send it over. If anything changes based on his review, I'll put a cover letter on it indicating what, if anything, was changed. And then, as I said, within a week this should be filed, and I'll have a PDF copy for you.
Does that mean before Thanksgiving? Does that mean before Thanksgiving?
Within a week? Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll have it to you. We'll have it to you by next Wednesday morning.
Excellent. Thank you.
You can read it while you're lying on the couch. Well, I need things to
Turkey,
be yeah.
tryptophan coma. Any questions for Bob? Bob, thank you very much for, yet again, another thorough, review. And unfortunately, I'm not surprised.
There's one other thing I wanted to add. I have been trying to get somebody from that FA firm to get out here and do your
FA work.
MSRB review and upload the documents necessary. Either they're very busy or they don't like me anymore. So I'm afraid that what's going to have to happen is that as soon as I get this report filed, I'm going to have to come out and do it.
Okay.
I would have preferred not to. It's not like I don't have 9 school board audits that I have to get filed in the next 2 weeks.
Well, we enjoy having you here.
But you've got a couple of things that have to get uploaded onto that site to get in compliance.
Yeah.
And we're going to need to do that. One of the things that's going to have to happen is we're going to have to find out from the MSRB who they will allow to upload. you can do it, okay, good. Then I'll get out here, take a look and see what needs to get done, and,
I think last time we actually did, anything with bond or consolidation or
You-
anything,
you were-
2010.
right, you were brought current in 2010 because you wouldn't have been able to close on the bond sale without being current.
Exactly.
But I suspect that since 2010, there's been probably a few things that haven't been addressed properly.
Okay.
And again, that's not uncommon, because when do you deal with bond stuff? When you're ready to sell bonds.
Yeah, we haven't.
Yeah, and but at the very end, at the very back end of your disclosure document on your bond sale, there's an agreement that was signed by the township that says, we agree that we will provide continuing disclosure for bondholders. And one of the things is upload the audit, and there's probably a bunch of other stuff that has to get uploaded too.
Bob, thank you for preparing this and bringing it in.
Thanks, Bob.
And, again, I want to reiterate, it is no surprise, and for Joe and Tom, as someone who was sitting on that side of the dais last year, this really confirms why you guys took the actions that you did in terms of...
Why I didn't sign a single bill last year?
Why you didn't sign a single bill list last year. So, kudos to you guys for taking the high road on that.
Thank you, Bob.
Thanks, Bob.
Okay, so we...
Signed bills in 2010 or 11, Jim.
I'm sorry, I didn't go...
I didn't sign bills in 2010 or 11.
Well, we can only go back so far.
I know.
Who's up?
Jim's,
Yeah, I'd like to table
Thank you, Bob. We'll
the...
see you after Thanksgiving.
yes,
Enjoy your holiday.
Let us know when you're in town.
Next time, right? Thank you.
You're going to table Resolution 2014-53?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Glenn hasn't had a chance.
Angelo?
Read the right
I
copy.
wasn't going to give an excuse.
Okay, Economic Development Commission, they had a meeting on the 13th where they invited all the towns. I was there. Basically, what they did was they went over their procedure for leads for companies wanting to come into Warren County, the procedure, forms to fill out, how they actually work with those leads. They went over some of the things we've done at the previous meetings. People from the state have come out. The way that the state is working to get more development in the area, and how they can help the towns in Warren County. They talked about ways that you can go on the state's website and get the information. They gave each town a packet, which they, when you saw the leaflet that I put together, it was similar to that, but they also looked up a lot of facts about our town for us, which I can add to the packet, interesting facts.
Can we see those? Because I'd like to check them and make sure that they're, because sometimes they don't have the proper.
I'll bring it to the next meeting.
Okay.
But yeah, it's true. Some of the sites were,
A little outdated.
right, so yeah, I will. But yeah, there's some additional facts that they put on there. But he went to a lot of trouble to do that for each town.
Yeah.
And I showed them what I had done. I talked about my form and the state plan that they passed last year. So it was a nice meeting. A lot of the mayors came, and so it was very informative. So basically, that's what's happened so far with that. The ordinance for foreclosures. Talking to the mayor, I'm going to be putting together a report for a future meeting, contrasting our present ordinance with this ordinance and how it complies with NJSA 4610B51, which is the ordinance that the state, the law that the state passed, I think it was in May, see how it compares. And we do have a big problem in this town, and just to see what the best way to go ahead with this thing is. And if either it's, we're going to push harder with what we have, or do maybe come out with something in between, but we really need to do something. So basically that's it.
Okay.
Thanks, man.
Michael, somehow you didn't make the agenda, but I don't want
Wake up.
I don't want to skip over you. Is there anything that,
No, I mean, there's a few updated items that are in the last couple items of the report. Just let me give you the Dumont update. I know I sent an email out, and I think I put good news in the subject, and that's, I'll call it an understatement. Those extensions are not granted, that often by the state. And the fact we got one really does just, we can all sit back, well, me primarily anyway, take a breath and really
Enjoy
figure out
Thanksgiving.
what, well, yeah, pretty much. So, again, because the last meeting was 2 weeks ago, when I've been down at the league and so forth, there hasn't been a whole lot other than we did get the extension.
well, look, Michael, I mean, it's happy that, happy to hear that the state would at least recognize we've been working diligently on this. It's not like we've been sleepwalking through this process, so.
When I sent them, the three bid results and so forth, I was pretty.
There's a lot of work, yeah.
So, Dumont, I spoke with John, he was hoping it would get done this year, but obviously now that it's not, he's got to do some remedial work, some patching of some of the bad sections of Dumont just to get through the winter. And he's scheduled to do that, I think, very soon. And of course, I'll keep you posted as we move forward, whether we go the co-op route, the negotiation route that we spoke of last time, or we reduce the scope again. But all of that to be determined at the beginning of next year. So,
I have a question for you. I haven't heard in a while the Pohakon groundwater remediation.
Oh.
That seems to have just kind of...
No, actually, if you...
I haven't.
I don't know which item it is here,
Yeah.
but... here, it's okay, item 29 in our report, and if you go to the last bullet item... And I'll ask him. In our capacity in Franklin, they received a set of 60% intermediate complete design plans. That was the next milestone.
Yeah.
Okay. We were given those plans, and we've been reviewing them. Actually, Dawson, you all know, from our office, has kind of been the point man. Did we get a new stuff?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Do you have the next
I
one?
have them here for you.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, we are and have been doing a little bit of review work. We've got to get them some comments. So the process is still moving forward.
Okay.
It's not dead, done.
Okay. That's good, because I hadn't heard anything, so I was just
It
wondering.
is
Good.
difficult.
Okay. Can I have a motion to open up the meeting for a second public comment period?
Make the motion.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone wishing to make public comment, please come up to the podium, state your name and address. See, yeah, okay.
He said there's no report.
After listening to the auditor's report, coupled with some things that I've heard over time, I hope that the Township Committee takes quick action, if they haven't already in 2014, to get control over the procurement formula. Because I had heard a story that the flagpole was purchased by a previous administration member in that fashion, and not even for township use. So, I know there's been a lot of outrage in the community this past year about what's happened to our taxes, and even though not everybody may understand exactly where it comes from, and the Township Committee has managed to keep the tax rate steady the last few years, I think if they found out that we don't really have the controls in place and money keeps disappearing in that kind of fashion, they'd be a lot more upset than they were this past election. So I don't know where your review stands, but I hope you close that down until you have an opportunity to fully review how that's going to work going forward and make sure it's in compliance with those bills that the auditor offers.
That's it. Yeah. Thank you. Anyone else wish to make public comment? Seeing no hands, a motion to close public comment?
Make a motion.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Just in terms of addressing the comments made, in terms of action taken, there were many steps taken as early as the first week of January, when we had our second meeting, in terms of the Finance Committee of Jim and Elaine developing an entirely new process. We all saw the flow charts and how we went from,
Approved pay.
spend, approved pay to,
Request.
the process we have right now. So, much of what the auditor had identified as concerns in 2013 were eliminated early. Tom and I, last year voiced much concern over the lack of financial oversight in 2013. In fact, I've been quoted on multiple occasions as referring to the gross financial mismanagement of 2013, and the audit report bears out that it was not hyperbole. That's why in 2014, we scheduled 2 meetings per month between the months of January and April, because we knew we had much to do to, in essence, reinvent and to reintroduce financial oversight, which is why, and look, I'm not going to suggest that things haven't happened this year that were, nothing's perfect. But the difference between last year and this year was last year there was zero oversight. This year there was a concerted effort to actually address some of these things and to make changes, and we've made much improvement in that direction. With respect to the flagpole purchases and procurements, so that the residents understand, we did make a referral to the prosecutor's office. The prosecutor has failed or otherwise refused to undertake any investigation, so we as a township committee are left to civil remedies, if any at all, and those additional steps and actions have already been authorized by the township attorney. The only reason action hasn't been taken yet civilly is because we were waiting officially from the prosecutor's office to advise us that they had failed or otherwise refused to undertake investigation, and they were very, very late. And in fact, they provided us no courtesy of advising us of where they stood on it. We had to have our township attorney proactively reach out to them to get confirmation that they were not going to, to undertake any steps, to protect the Greenwich taxpayer. So we will proceed and be the advocates for the Greenwich taxpayer that I believe the Warren County Prosecutor's Office has failed to do. So, we'll address in due course, in accordance with law. So, with that said, is there any old business or new business anybody wants to discuss? Can I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
Make a motion.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Good night.